What's going on, everybody? KSA Kris here, Real Estate Blitz. I'm excited. I got another great interview today. We're going to be talking about real estate investing with my good buddy, David. So outside that, so the big thing that I really want to talk about today, I know some of you watch first off, you watch a lot of the investment stuff I put out, but you watch one I did with Michael Quarles. This one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about money. And it's funny because I know a lot of people follow me from my live radio show that I had on ESPN, which is super cool. But really, when it comes to money, not everybody wants to talk about the money. Everybody just thinks that all of a sudden you just show up. So I'm going to find a house and I'm gonna just write an offer. I'm going to close on the house and I'm just going to make money. It's almost like watching South Park with those little gnomes are running around, right? And they're like, oh, we just get the underwear and then money. Like there's something in between, and it's called you need money in order to either close a deal. You need money for proof funds. You need money. You need money to renovate the home. There's something that has to happen in order for you to make a profit. So that's what I'm pretty excited about, because again, I know when I did my live radio show and down in San Diego, I would have these hard money lenders or private money lenders, or I would have other lenders come on and we would talk about money, but they never wanted to get into the minutia of it. And in the process, you still walk away feeling like you don't know what the hell you're going to do. So great, I come up on a property. Now what do? I want to make a profit. What is a good rate? What is a bad rate? How are you getting screwed? How are you not getting screwed? Where can I find the money? And I always tell everybody, especially if you watch what I'm doing, if you find the deal, you can either find a buyer, cash buyer. If you have the deal, if it's a deal, not like you're not purchasing, okay, it's $100,000 property ARV and I've got it for 90 and you only need to put 2,000 into it and we're going to make a profit. No, that's not true. That's not how any of this works. Okay. So if you actually have a deal, you can find the money. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Are you good with that, Dave?
I'm good. That sounds great.
Okay. So me and David are going to talk about the money and what it looks like. And actually, it's funny because I'm already getting text messages in. People are watching. We're going live, so that's cool. But yeah, let's get right into it. So first off, can you tell us who you are so that everybody kind of has a background of who you are and what you do real quick?
So great. Thanks again for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here.
I am too.
Yeah, it's great. So we're a Southern California-based lender. And we are backed by, supported by, funded by, whatever you want to call it, a really large hedge fund out of New York. And we carved out some products to really service real estate investors. And our focus is in the residential space. We do some small commercial stuff and multifamily stuff. But really, this product that we've spent time refining and building is for residential fix and flip, long-term buy and hold, and we're really excited because there's so many restrictions in the conventional financing space around, number of properties you can have, or all your income and debt-to-income qualifications, and all these crazy things that you and I don't believe should be part of an underwrite for real estate investment.
Agreed.
So we sort of took the quote unquote, the philosophy, not even the guidelines, but the philosophy of a commercial real estate underwrite, where we look at the income of the property and we applied that to a residential model. So theoretically, these are no income from the borrower qualified loans. These are income from the property qualified
So
loans.
let's just, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I just find that so exciting because the average American, I had a guy call, Phil. So Phil's one of our agents on the team, and he's on the phone with a guy. He owns a house in Fallbrook, since you're in Southern California. He owns a house in Fallbrook, California, and we could sell this house for about $500,000. This guy says, you know what? I think we're just going to rent it out. I says, okay, are you planning on moving back to that house? Are you planning on living in that house one day? He says, no. Okay, so let's talk about that. If you're not planning, then why are you looking to rent it out? Well, I figured we can make some cash flow. I says, if you own a house outright for $500,000 and you're going to only rent it for maybe $2,300, you should be making around, if you're going to buy and hold in unique areas, there's plenty of areas all over the country. You can do it even in California if you know where to look. You can actually get homes and get a 1% per month annual. Okay, so really 1% per month on principal. So 12% annual return on your property. Even if it goes down, and this is if it's gross, you can still get a net of 10% on your money. Imagine, could it change your life if you were making, I don't know, $5,000 a month as opposed to $2,000? Just, yeah. Now, what if I told you you can actually leverage that money if you're buying multi-units and I could get you with the right lender, you're that guy, right? I can get you with the right lender, and he could take actually the income that's coming from that. You can leverage 50% or 30%, which is a 500,000 total. And how much more money could you be making if you're making a 10 to 12% return? You're making that on your original principal, plus you're still going to be making a profit on leveraging and borrowing somebody else's money for the other portion of whatever you're buying. Like, how many Americans' lives could you change if they understood these basic concepts?
So
and they're basic.
They're basic. And, before the show, you and I chatted just briefly about some downturn times too, right? But I think people got so afraid of leverage that they don't, anyways, somewhere between financial literacy, leverage, and this scary dark cloud that everybody's worried about all the time, right? It doesn't matter if it's market's going up, market's going down, market's going sideways. Everyone's worried about this downturn black cloud. But you bring up such a good point. I love your passion about it, that you could take some basic financial concepts, right? Basic financial literacy, and really change lives. Right?
Oh yeah.
And we've seen it. So it's neat to be part of that. And I'm glad you're passionate about it. And I'm sure your followers are tuning in to see, okay, well, how? Tell me how. How does that work? Just like you go through a lot of a lot of education around finding the right property, qualifying the right property, coming up with a great exit strategy for the right property. It's the same with the money. So anyways,
I agree.
I'm glad to see you so
and I think it's a mix of fear. So I hear the same things over and over and over whenever we try to educate somebody, because I do it all. I mean, honestly, a lot of our clients on the agent side are people that we've turned into investors. We've turned them into investors through education.
Yep.
And what it is, in the beginning, it's fear. Then it turns into this. So this is the same guy. And actually, I scheduled an appointment yesterday with him. I'm meeting up with him on Monday. And I have people like this. I convert them once, and next thing you know, like every year, they're setting aside money or they're wanting to buy more. So they become a normal client. They're buying something from me 2, 3, 4, sometimes 10 times a year. And this isn't including the investors that we actually just work with. And keep in mind, I'm an investor too. I've been an investor for over 20 years. Sure. So it's one of those things where first it starts with fear, because they don't understand or know. So teach, coach, mentor, I think, is a huge one. But then after that, it turns into like this scam idea. They think it's a scam. And they're like, well, it's too good to be true. And that's when I sit down, and that's what I was reaching for a second. I just write it out. I says, it's just math. Let's just write out the math. You are smart enough because you've bought a house. So you understand that there's interest. You understand there's this. You understand the loan. Okay, I'm just going to write out the math for you on how it works. This is what you're going to make net off of selling your property after closing costs, etc. Here's what you have. You're going to purchase. And by the way, I brought some comps. And this is for the agents, by the way, so you can learn how to do this too. But for the investors, just listen. This is good for you too. Here's some comps on stuff that we could purchase you at X number of cap rate in this area, depending on your comfort zone. So we can, we're looking to sell off a couple portfolios out in St. Louis. So what's do you want to be in St. Louis? Do you want to be in Texas? Do you want to be in Florida? Do you want to be in California? We got stuff in California too that's 12% or above. And depending on where you want to be, let's write out those cap rates. Let me show you those comps that come off that. Now let's talk about money. Here's how much you can put down. But you're only going to get a principal return on your money. Now let's talk about leverage at these interest rates. And that's the big one. So if you're making, again, simple, to me, this is just simple math, 1% per month on principal. So for every $100,000, you're making $1,000, which is a $12,000 return throughout the year, 12% return, right? Okay. If that's the case, and I'm borrowing money, and that money is going to cost me, I don't know, let's say 10%. Let's just act crazy. Let's say that money is 10%. You're still making 2% free money for borrowing somebody else. You're making free money. It's free money.
Around here, you know what we call that? What's your internal rate of return? And everybody says, well, you get 2%, right? And you're like, no, try again.
Right.
Well, I don't know. And I say, it's infinity.
Right.
It's money you didn't have. It's free money.
It's free money.
So it's the rate of return is infinity. And I'm sure there's people listening that'll challenge me on that, because I get challenged in my own office. But if you think about, and maybe this goes way off the path for a second, but if you think about the basic principle of arbitrage, right? It's like, I have this money. What can this money do to earn me more money? That rate of return in there is, sure, it's not infinity, but it's free money. So,
it's free money. And you can't beat free money, because here's the thing. You were going to make a certain amount of money on your money anyways. You're still making the money that you were going to make on your money. You're
That's
just
correct.
expanding your purchase power, and now you get your money plus free money. You're getting more money, especially if you can get. So let's say you're at 12%. And sorry, folks, I like math. I'm that guy. Okay, so let's say you are getting 12% annual, and let's say, and I won't go deep into lending to talk about 30 years fixed, blah blah blah. But let's just basic, keep it very simple. So let's say, what do you say, 4 or 5%? What do you think? 5%, 6%? Is that fair?
I think the conventional rates, they've dropped down in the fives. So let's use five.
Let's use 5%. So this is just, again, basic math. Now I'm missing 2 fingers here. I have energy drinks, so maybe we'll throw these in here. Okay, so 2 energy drinks. I got 10 fingers.
I knew you were talking fast. I didn't know what it was. Right. Now I know what it is.
So I take away 5. Here we go. There we go. I take away 5. I throw in 2 energy drinks. So that's 7%. 7% I'm still making. Like, come on, people. You got to do it. So with that said, let's talk about some of the money that you have since you set up this, you set up some products through the hedge fund out in New York. Let's talk about, and it's cool because Adam and I are working with so many investors right now, along with ourselves. I'm always looking for new ways to get money. So let's talk about your money.
It's great. So we started it with the idea that there was a lot of folks out there that could do or could get their head around kind of buying a property for X, putting some money into it and selling it for Y to make a profit. So we started out in the residential fix and flip space, and we still do a large part of our business in that channel. But what ended up happening is some people start to catch on to what you said is sort of this math equation of I have this asset. What is it worth on a monthly basis, yearly basis? What if I kept it? I've created all this value. I've lowered my leverage. What can I do with it? So over the last 2 years, kind of, I guess last year, we really designed, in addition to our fix and flip model, we designed a product that works just like a 30-year fixed loan you'd expect it, right? It's fully amortized, but it's for the real estate investor who can put 20, 25% down and can get a long-term fixed rate loan for the security. So we're trying to remove that fear component, right?
Right.
But there aren't the overlays or the requirements like any big bank, any agency would require of that borrower. So we're not looking at tax returns. We're not looking at pay stubs. We're not looking at W-2s. And I know I'm taking you off. We're looking at what is just exactly what you said. It's making $1,000 a month. Okay. If my payments, all in is $800, $900, well, that property makes a profit. Right?
That's right.
To us, that's income qualified for a real estate investor. It's really that awesome. Simple. Yeah,
that's awesome. And then now, so just out of, because now we're going to get super geeky, people. Sorry. And it's funny because you're going to see a lot of the people that end up watching this. This is going to be after the fact. So like YouTube. So those of you that are watching this on YouTube, or as I start passing this out, because I pass it to a lot of different clients as well. And of course, I'll be like blasting it all over on Facebook here later on. But I'm going to get geeky here for a second. So talking about, you said 20, 25%. Me personally, I always tell everybody you want to put all of your money all in. It should be 30%. So you're really going to be leveraging 70% so you can expand your overall income. You also said that we're not looking at pay stubs. We're looking at the overall returns just from those properties specifically in order to cover what that is, which is freaking awesome. I think that's really, really cool. Now, for it, without getting,
can I interrupt you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know you're going to go get geeky, but
yeah, I'm about to.
I love what you said earlier, and it's kind of ringing in the back of my head. Is a lot of real estate agents, right? They're so used to working with the regular lender community, they want to go invest. They see good deals. At least they should know good deals, right? They're in their market all day long. What an opportunity for them, right? Because a lot of them are self-employed. It's extremely difficult to qualify as a self-employed person for a regular bank loan today. This is a perfect product for a real estate agent that wants to go invest in property.
It's a freaking great product. It's an amazing product. I mean, I'm sitting here just thinking about it myself. And that's where I was going to get into next. So let's talk about, and so, okay, so 2 parts. The first one is when you talk about regulations, because you mentioned that regulations are going to be a little bit different than, I would even say hard money lenders have to still, they still have to have their broker's license. They still have to deal with a lot of the variables and regulations as they're giving out the money. So I'm not going to ask you if you're skirting those. What I'm going to say is like, how does that affect because you're pulling from a hedge fund. How does that adjust as far as regulations and what you can and can't underwrite on?
Oh boy, how would I answer that? So
I know that's why I said, like, this could be complicated.
you're getting geeky on me.
Yeah.
Well, so from a compliance standpoint and a regulation standpoint, we will actually package the loans same as a hard money lender. So it is, we're licensed in a bunch of states and we have all the compliance background. But as it, I guess, is consumer facing, it won't be dissimilar to a hard money lender. It'll be the same.
And I think that's great because what I'm finding is, hey, hon, sorry, my wife just walked in.
Hi, wife.
Can you close the door? All right, thanks. So hard money lender is always going to be a little bit different. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. A little bit different than a conventional, but what a lot of agents do. So I'm going to talk about agents and investors and wannabe investors, because there's really three different types of people here. Agents are always going to try to push to their preferred lender if they're worth their salt. Their conventional lender, it may have products. There's going to be products that are available that they can use, but it's not, in my opinion, as good as a hard money lender, and you're not going to save much money, in my opinion. Then you have the wannabe lender, the wannabe investor, who's somebody that has this idea. They really don't know what it means to be a buy and hold it investor or a flipper. They're going to go the conventional route proper, and they don't realize that they're really giving away a lot, and they're not looking at, they don't understand how the math works. They don't understand that there's three things that you're trying to accomplish. Ideally, get the trifecta. You're not always going to get it, but am I looking at cash flow? Am I looking at appreciation? Am I looking at depreciation? Do I have to, for write-offs? So they're not looking at all of that. They're just trying to purchase something. They use an FHA loan or something else, and then they usually end up getting screwed in some way, or they're really not making the true profits that they should. Then you have the true investor who's going to a hard money lender, but they haven't always found the right hard money lender that's going to give them the right points or the right percentages based off of what they're trying to do. And not only that, but a lot of the hard money lenders are going to compete and be similar in a lot of their products. So it's almost like, you see what I mean? So it's almost like what's really going to be the best benefit? It sounds like you have a good balance. So when you talk about points and percentages on a buy and hold, what do you guys kind of look at? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Of course. And
cool.
I love what you said. If you're going to put your toe in the water and you're a hobbyist, you're going to buy one, you're going to see how it feels.
Right.
I think hey, listen, if you can do it, you can qualify, go get a conventional loan. And that's the cheapest money.
But there's so many limits that ends up putting on you if you
I agree.
Stop being a hobbyist.
If you stop being a hobbyist, it's not scalable, right? Fannie, Freddie, these guys, they cap you at 10 properties.
They're criminals. I think it's almost like, okay, so you're telling me, so can I only buy 10 cars? Can I only buy 10 notepads? Like, why are you? This is mine. I paid for it. It's mine. I should be able to have whatever I want.
Exactly. I feel the same exact way. And then, they're multiplying all that debt up on you. So even if you're a fairly astute or successful investor, you can't even income qualify after a certain amount of time. So anyway,
which is insane.
So you move from the hobbyist into what we'll call sort of a professional investor. And I think you said it great. For speed, for simplicity, and for really having it's maybe a terrible cliche, but like a debt partner who's helping you evaluate that deal, right? Because basically I look at it as every loan that we make here, we really have to understand first collateral value. Right? Are they making a good buy? Certainly, we have to look at the experience of that person who's getting into the business, and then we look at strategy, exit plan, whatever you want to call it. And in that, I would tell you that we kind of cut or chop out into categories the different loans that we have. So this long-term program, we have fixed rates in the very low sixes. Without income qualification, right? So just crazy. Our hard money product probably is in the 8 to 10% space, and then we have some other little,
which both are fair. And so I want to go back to something that you specifically said that people might have just missed because they don't understand. When you talk about income qualification, I'm working with another guy. He's in Honduras. He's in the military. He wants to buy a multi-unit. So when he comes back, he can move into one of the units, but already have the other ones making profits where he's at a minimum breaking, even if not making, he's ahead based off of he's treating himself as a tenant as well. So now we have to try to run him through, because it's all he knows, a conventional program where he's not going to qualify for something like that because he doesn't make enough money in the military, even though it makes a freaking amazing financial sense. And I wish everybody in our military would do it.
Right.
If you're a single guy, why aren't you buying a 2 or 3 unit place? You're already being paid to live out in town, live in one of the units, pay yourself as a tenant, pay the business, and then have your other tenants come in there to cover the mortgage and make you a profit. You're living somewhere for free, and you're living somewhere to get paid.
Well, and right, they keep saying right, they say we have this huge housing shortage.
Right.
So there's one category of our marketplace that I think nobody really has any fear on, and it's the rental market, right?
Yep.
The rental market in California, and St. Louis, and Detroit, Michigan. I had a call this morning.
Oh, it's insane. Michigan's
with our
crazy.
It's on fire.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah.
fire. So I think, to your point, a professional investor has to just think outside the box a little bit to say, I can go from hobbyist to professional investor really quick just by buying a triplex, just by buying a duplex, getting a good loan on it. And when I build up a little bit of reserves, replace my unit, go do it again.
Yep.
And I think very conservatively in 10 years, this can be what it's supposed to be, right? It's that American
I would even
dream
say
investment.
if somebody does it right, and in the beginning, it's really just purchasing, let's say, one multi-unit the first year. But if you really are consistent and you look to try to get to the point where you're buying one, eventually 2, 3, especially with the returns off of each one as you pay them down or pay them off, in 8 years, you could be a millionaire, if not a multimillionaire, if you do it right. And it's the beautiful part about buy and hold investing is it is the most boring, absurd, ridiculous way to get wealthy. And it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. And I think I've been wanting to talk more about money, but it seems like whenever I've tried to have people on, whether it was my live radio show or even on here, nobody ever really wants to get into the truths or talk about, how do you sort out the percentages? What are points? What are this? What are that? What kind of programs are actually out there? And I understand why. And I've tried to explain this when I've had other money guys on. I says, if you actually told people how you genuinely would add value and help them and what you would do for them, more people would call you. I understand that you're trying to not say too much, so you feel like you'll lock them in because I want to know more. Look, Sham Wow, that was a thing on TV for a while, but things are changing. The world's changing to where people want value add. If you actually give them value and you walk them down the path, they're going to turn around and say, I want to work with you anyways because you're the expert and I trust you and I know you're going to take care of me. And you've been pretty upfront and blunt with what you got. But I think so many people are afraid that they're going to get shopped or whatever. And my thing is, I don't even mind paying a little more if I know I'm going to be taken care of and I'm working with the right people. That's just my opinion,
So you've met with enough people, you've talked to enough lenders, you've been on the what we'll call the back office side of the decision making, and that contrary to very popular belief, the last thing any lender wants is for a borrower not to make his payment. We don't want these properties back. That's not our business, right? The banks. So helping investors make good choices is probably principle number one. And what we say all the time is, especially here in California, I think sometimes people look at deals that are too skinny where, the lender's going to make the money, not the person doing the work, not the one who's really out on the front lines. And so you should see a value proposition from working with somebody that A, can get you access to the right loans, the right capital, the right partners.
Right.
B, can help you evaluate a deal, right? It's what we do all day long is look at deals. And then I think 3, could give you some guidance. I mean, you took it to, a PhD level there with return on leveraged capital and other concepts like that. But I think if there's somebody that could at least say, okay, you're doing great. Here's an idea.
Even if somebody could say, hey, I moved into a place, like I said, specifically military, and I'm making a couple $100 a month for living here, dude, like it's free money.
It's free money.
It's crazy to me, but that's just, again, maybe I'm a weird person. I don't know. It just makes good sense. Yeah. Then I guess we're just weird together.
We are.
So, one of the things I also sort of wanted to talk about, going, a little bit back, but when we talk about the note, And I know this has been brought up quite a bit where I have people ask me because of a lot of people that are trying to borrow hard money or some type of money, or they're dipping into investing or starting to become a professional specifically. They're concerned that once they purchase something, that note is immediately going to get flipped and sold, which is part of the lending business. I'm personally not afraid of that. I don't care, but that does change people's mindsets. Now I know you're running through a hedge fund, and if you do sell the notes, can you explain to people why that makes sense financially for the business and why it doesn't hurt them? Or if you don't sell the notes, like I'd like to know that too. Like how's that sort out?
That's an interesting question. So with us, our structure is we remain the asset manager.
See,
So
that's awesome.
if we're selling the note, it will go into some fund in a REIT somewhere, but we'll be main point of contact through the life of the loan.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah, we use servicers, right, and sub-servicers to help us with payment collection and like. But if hey, I'm going to be late, you call me. Hey, my contractor walked off the job and I've got a problem, you call me.
Right.
We don't. I like your word. We just don't sell that responsibility off to anybody.
Right, because I know it pisses people off, and it's always a shock to. So on the traditional side, so let's say regular retail real estate. I like that retail real estate, right?
Perfect.
That always pisses people off, and I get phone calls all the time. Hey, I just bought this house from you guys. I got a loan through X lender, and now all of a sudden I'm having to pay so and so, and they said I missed a payment because I didn't know it was going wherever it was. Like, how in the hell did that happen? What the hell's going on? And then I try to explain to them because I used to do note investing, non-performing. This was probably 5 years ago or so, non-performing notes, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so this is kind of, and I start to try to explain it, but it just people's minds just start blowing up. And it's always nice when you talk to somebody and you're saying, look, we're going to enter into a long-term agreement with you to help you actually make a profit and make a living. And in the process of you making a profit, making a living, and being an investor, we're going to make some money because we don't, I don't work for free. I'm sure you don't either. But we are going to be your central point of contact and the people that service you from start to finish. And we're going to help you do more. I personally think that's awesome.
And if you think about the complication or twist as you enter this space, it's so simple, but it kind of flies over your head sometime that these people are buying properties where they don't live there, right? It's simple to collect their mailing address, but that gets left off. So I hear or have heard from borrowers the same thing. Like they mailed me a payment statement. I never got it. It went to the house. It was under construction. They hit my credit 30 days late. That stuff it's kind of nonsense. So we're very high touch. We're going to keep that asset management responsibility from, origination all the way through exit strategy.
Right, which is freaking awesome. And then I actually just wrote a quick note because I was sitting here thinking about it. A lot of the buy and hold investors that I work with and also know, they're looking to offload or rewash their property every 5 years. So let's say you're in a long-term run with somebody. You said, if it's fixed 20 years, 30 years, whatever that might be, if they're readjusting every 5 years, how does that sort out? I mean, are there benefits to somebody doing that with you guys if they're actually like, basically stepping up? Because ideally you're going to be, doing a 1031 exchange. You're actually trying to step up based off of the appreciation for those properties every 5 years. Because you can keep depreciating to a point, but really after 5 years, you might as well, if that's a part of your strategy, it's not for everybody, but if that's part of your strategy is the depreciation, it might be time to actually step up and go to a bigger number of units or a complex or something else. So how's that work out with you all?
So we I would say on one hand, I could count the amount of loans that we've held 5 years plus, right? So I think it's a very common practice, whether rates drop, new programs open up, or to your point, the game, the fun, the mental challenge of real estate does become scale, right?
Yep.
So it's either, like you said, and I don't mean to misrepresent the folks that are, I want to buy a house, I want to pay it off in 15 years, and I'm going to live on that rent, right? It's a great strategy, but usually you're going to find a use case within those first 5 years to change that underlying loan program tied to that asset. Whether you're selling it, you're refinancing it to get cash out to buy the next one, you're putting it in a shorter term to maximize your monthly cash flow. And I think you would agree, right? Life changes, strategy changes, the things are moving. You got done with your ShamWow example. I just think things, they change more rapidly than every 5 years.
Right. And I think it's interesting because what you said, looking back on one point of it, was it's almost like going back to the hobbyist. The hobbyist is going to be the one that really doesn't completely get it. And the hobbyist is going to be the one that says, well, once it's paid off, I'm just going to keep it forever. But that's not really, it's investing. But if the appreciation, depending on especially where that property is, and you could leverage that appreciation and also leverage more in order to purchase more, in order to make more money, and it's really not that much more work. It's just like, why wouldn't you want to scale it? We have a question here, and I'm not sure.
Okay.
Hey, Maurice, do me a favor. Since you're watching this, I see, what about renting the property? What do you mean by what about renting the property? Can you go a little bit deeper as far as renting it? Are you talking about as far as like management or just return? Because if you might have missed the beginning when we were talking about the return. So Maurice, do me a favor and give me a little more detail, and I'll definitely ask that question. We'll get on it. All right. But cool. So what else? Like, this is fun. I'm enjoying this conversation.
So I'm dying to ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, if it's your secret sauce, please don't
Sure.
share with us. But like, share with us sort of your just the basics about how you go look for your deal, right? Especially here in California. I think there's so many people that ask me, like, I want to make it deeper than how do you find a good deal, right? Do I look at MLS? Do I call this person? But I mean, what are you thinking about? Even if somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I've got this great deal," tell me what's your first little go-to?
Relationships. So okay, so how do I find deals? Or and I wish Adam was in here. I'd probably I don't think I've ever had him on the Real Estate Blitz, but Adam, he started with me when I had my because I was in the Marine Corps. I did 21 years in the Marine Corps, but I was investing while I was in the Marine Corps. Then when I retired, I had full-time investments business. That's all I did full-time until my wife talked me into building, real estate business or retail business as well. So I leverage people. It's relationships. I call hard money lenders.
Mm-hmm.
I call property management companies. I build relationships with these people. And I go to markets where I see the cap rate. So in California specifically, and I'm not going to tell everybody where all my markets are. You can find them yourself. It took me some time to find them, and I don't tell anybody. And it's funny because almost every deal that we sell our investors we sell them off market. And we're getting those properties from property managers. We're getting them from hard money lenders. I'm going out there and I'm finding. So I'll look through the MLS and find the other cash buyers. I'll start trying to reach out to them, and I find out what they have. And all it is relationships. Hey, I saw you're buying a whole bunch of stuff. Was hoping to meet up with you. I'm an investor too. Hey, can we meet up for coffee? It's relationships. And next thing you know, we become the central point for people to run stuff through. So I had, like I said, 25 doors that came to me yesterday in St. Louis. I don't live in St. Louis. I'm in Southern California.
Right.
And off of that, I sent it out trying to reach out to other people I knew that were in St. Louis from relationships. And I have another dude that says, hey, by the way, I have 2 doors out there and I need to offload those 2 doors as well. And then my wife found the guy that bought a 25 door last night when we got it yesterday afternoon. So it's just relationships. So so let me back up. And Maurice, thank you. I'll get right back to you, but I'm on a roll here. So it starts with relationships. So even if I want to come up on more wholesales, okay, want to be wholesalers or people that are wholesaling, I call hard money lenders and I build relationships. I show up to the investment clubs in every market where I want to be. And the reason why is because you said it best, David. Your job, you make your money off of lending money. You don't want to deal with a property. If somebody can't perform or they lose performance, it's very rare when the hard money lenders, especially if they're direct money lenders, where they want to try to figure out how to offload that property unless they have people that are already flipping that are within their database. And a lot of times they'll come to a guy like me. I will guarantee they're going to get the loan again, so they don't have to worry about anything. They say, Kris, I got these 3 properties. Somebody can perform. Here's the stuff. Just get me somebody else that wants to either roll the loan, wrap the loan, perform on a new loan. Don't give a crap. You build in whatever money you want. I build in the money that I want off of the buyer. Yep. I don't put that to the seller. I build it into the buyer, and then I come up on properties. So that's what I do.
So, and thanks for sharing because you offer a perspective that I think you and I know because once you're in the middle of it and you've gone from hobbyist to whatever you want to call yourself, right?
Oh,
But
I left one out.
okay,
Lawyers. I go after lawyers too. I actually did an hour and a half podcast on a Flip Talk, and I'm not going to do it here. I gave all of my secrets on how to farm lawyers, going after divorce attorneys, going after probate attorneys. That's a very nice niche business for us, and it's a great way to come up on a lot of properties like that. Anyway, so all right, I'm done. So what are you saying?
so I was going to make a comment, but I'll make a story instead. So
Cool.
we get a lot of calls from folks that have taken 3-day, 4-day seminars on how to flip homes, and so I really honor that intention. But I think sometimes it's misguided because nobody's really told them that you can't just call, which is what they tell them. You call a couple real estate agents, you give them your information, you let them know you're a cash buyer. And I always say, it's like, well, you're almost setting yourself up as a mark, right? A bit of a con. I think so. Now, making a story, you said it's about relationships, and I completely agree. I would just really encourage those that are newer that you have to do the hard yards, right? You can't really expect a real estate agent to do all those hard yards for you, especially in the beginning, because why wouldn't they buy it themselves? Why wouldn't they sell it to another investor they've done other deals with?
If they're the real deal, if it's a quality real estate agent, they already have people. So really what you're going to be looking for is a green agent, somebody that doesn't know what the hell they're doing anyways, that doesn't know investing. So not only are you going to be like, you're going to basically become their coach to try to coach and guide them. So you're spending energy. So you think it's going to be easy by I just get a bunch of agents that are going to bring me deals. It doesn't work that way, right? You could get lucky. You could get lucky. But if it's a real deal, so like me, if you come, I do it all the time. I had one of our agents on the team come up. Hey, there's this guy. He says he's an investor. I says, all right, so what do you want to do? Well, I'm going to do this stuff for him. I says, put him on the phone with me real quick. I talked to him for like 5 minutes. I was like, hey, we're going to pass. Thanks a lot. Because he's not the real deal investor. So especially if you're newer and the real deal agent that's actually out there doing deals like myself or Adam in here, Adam has one investor. He buys 3 or 4 properties and sells 3 or 4 properties a month through him. And he wholesales these properties to him, and he knows how to hunt and find them. So, and sometimes he just calls them up, says, I have a property, I want to buy it, you go take care of it. So a real deal agent is not going to waste their time with a new guy because you're too much freaking energy. You just are.
And you and I can understand that, right? Because I think we know the work that goes in on both sides of the transaction. You don't have a lot of time. So the vetting process is, you have to, it's terrible, right? It's a chicken egg dilemma. But I'll put the story back to what you said. I like that you basically said it's about relationships.
Yep.
It's about getting out there. It's about networking. It's about doing the hard yards first, and then it does get easier. Right?
In the beginning, it's a grind. Yeah.
It's a grind. You do your first couple deals with somebody, and then guess what? Kris is going to pick up the phone to that investor that he knows likes Fallbrook and buys larger deals or whatever your sweet sauce becomes.
Yep.
Sure, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth transaction get very.
And then people start talking, especially whether it's hard money lenders, if it's lawyers, it's property managers. If you're going to investment meetings, wholesalers, you're just going to start getting phone calls and emails and text messages. Hey, I got this deal. You want to look at it? Okay, sure. And that's when it gets easy. But in the beginning, it's a freaking grind. It's a grind.
It's a grind. Yeah.
So, okay, let's get back to Maurice here.
Okay.
So the original question is, what about renting the property? And I was like, okay, give me more. Then he writes management. So managing the property. Then he come in. So I'll put this up. Then he says, in property depreciation, instead of selling, you turn around and rent the property. Okay. So first off, management, in my opinion, just my opinion, you should always use a property manager. I don't even screw with that stuff. You build it into your overall costs, unless you want to, I don't know, create another job. That's just me. I don't like creating other jobs for myself. I have enough jobs and I have my own businesses, but that's my opinion. Some people like managing their own properties, but if you're really trying to build something to scale, you need to build that in as a cost for your overall cap and that's part of it comes out of your gross, which creates your net cap. Okay. So I don't even screw around with that. That's what I recommend to any of our clients. Now, when it comes to depreciation, I don't completely understand what you're talking about. When you talk about, in my opinion, and back me up here, David, if you agree or disagree, when it comes to the depreciation of property. So I said there's three things that you're looking for. The trifecta is cash flow. You want appreciation. So over time, that property, you bought it for 100,000. Every year it's going to make 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in future revenue because it's going to appreciate in value. Then you look at the depreciation. Now, that's not important for everybody, but you have to think there's only two ways to make money. Either make more of it or you save it. Think about what I just said. You either make more money or you save what you're getting. The government, we live in California specifically. We live in a broke state, and they want they tax you on. It's like, okay, so this pen. If I decided to give this pen to you for $2, they want their money. They want to get paid. So being able to depreciate and write off a certain amount of money means you're saving money. Those are basically ghost taxes. You're saving this. It's ghost profit. Okay, you're saving that money. Now, some people, other clients, let's say like I have some lawyer clients or doctor clients, they need the depreciation to stay within a certain bracket. Right. So they don't get bent over by the government for taxes. So instead of saying, I'm going to offload or wash out a certain amount of money or go through my account, they say, well, I'm going to purchase something that's going to give me, I'm not too worried about the cash flow. I want to break even, but I'm really looking at the appreciation and the depreciation so I can stay below a specific cap. That's why people use and leverage depreciation as well. So there's a couple different ways you can look at that, Maurice. I don't know if that answered your question. If it didn't, dude, keep popping it in there and I'll keep popping it up. And between David and I, we can talk about it. I mean, so David, I mean, do you feel the same way or disagree?
I feel the same way. You know, maybe his question is depreciation. I think of, like you just said, I put depreciation and management synonymous. I'd put scale and leverage and rate of return in kind of my growth bucket, right? Or
I like that.
My business planning bucket. So, I think I'm not being additive to anything other than that. I think the depreciation tool is used to manage your taxes.
Yeah, agreed. So I don't think the only time, just in case I'm wrong here, Maurice, the only time I would consider depreciation extremely important is if you need the depreciation, but that's not the reason to rent the property. That's not the reason why most people are looking to rent properties or be a buy and hold investor. Most of the time, somebody wants to be a buy and hold investor because they're really looking at cash flow. And after cash flow, the next one is going to be the overall appreciation. Me personally, some of the stuff that I will bring to a lot of our investors, all they care about is cash flow. They don't really care about the appreciation. They want to say, I just sold a house that my mother passed away in, and I get a lot of clients like this. So again, if you're trying to find deals, probate specifically, let's offload this. I'm going to buy it in cash. By the way, since I'm a real estate agent, have you considered what you're going to do with that cash? Let me teach you something real quick. And that's how we convert a lot of clients. So we're going to teach them how to actually take their mom's money. Hey, it's awful. I'm really sorry your mother passed away, but it is fact of life. But now that you have this money, instead of going and blowing it on a brand new Ford Exploder, why don't we actually like put it into something where you can make your mom can pay you the rest of your life? Like that's the best way your mom, like it's like, oh, I'll never forget my mom because she pays me $5,000 a month. Thanks, Mom. Like that's how I want to remember my family. Right? I want them to pay me every month. So that's just my opinion.
I love it. I concur. Right, and I love what you're doing. I love not only how you talked about finding deals through building relationships, but it sounds like even the transaction side of what you do every day is based on relationships. So you're teaching, you're taking somebody who came to you to solve a single problem, and you're teaching them a life skill, a financial skill, and you're teaching, repositioning, and training, and that's super unique. We don't see that enough.
You know why? So this is so backstory, which I didn't completely tell you. The reason why the real estate blitz came about, I was reading an article, I think it was Purple Brick or somebody, and it pissed me off. Like it really pissed me off. And I'm reading it, and we had a team at the time, and I was thinking about how can I better educate our team. instead of the traditional agent way. So what you'll hear from a lot of team leads or brokers are like, well, you need to teach them the value of why you're charging 6% for your commission and blah, blah, blah. It says, why do you have to tell them, like, why do you have to sell your value? In fact, if you come from a different place, one of the new interns that we just brought on the other day, he was in my office this morning. I was explaining to him, if you genuinely want to help people, you have to understand when somebody's buying or selling a home, whether it's investment or traditional, they are either closing a chapter in their life or they're opening a chapter in their life. And this is a very emotional, it's a huge emotional and spiritual moment within their life. If you genuinely care about people, like you genuinely want to help somebody, I view myself as, all I am is a glorified bagger at Albertsons. You know, I don't want to bag my own damn groceries. I don't, man. I'm lazy. I'm from California. I'm super lazy, right? So I appreciate what they do. They don't take tips anymore. They used to. And without that guy, like I physically have to do that. I'm a glorified bagger and I'm here to provide a service. I'm here to help you close a chapter or open a chapter. I'm here to bring value and to help you transition through this very challenging time. No matter the best clients that we've ever had, it's still stressful. It's still horrible. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of agents are saying, this is how I'm going to justify why I'm charging so much, because most real estate agents are freaking arrogant. They're greedy. They're too busy talking about what kind of new watch they have while they're in a listing appointment, and instead of talking about how they're going to help. You know what I mean? So, or I just view it as, no matter what, I want to come from a place of service. I want to genuinely do whatever I can to help that person for where they are. And if I feel like I can't add value or help them, or if I just think they're a prick, I won't work with them. I just won't work with them. And I think that's why we're so damn busy. I mean, that's how we've done so well. I did a thing last year. I think it started in January last year on the Real Estate Blitz. I says, I'm going to start with $500. I'm going to build a business from scratch. I'm going to make over 6 figures. It took me 3 months, and I'm not using any of my past clients. And I showed how I did it all online. It's not hard. It's a mindset. So, you know, I think as long as your mindset is right and you're really genuinely coming from a place, and this is even, especially with investments, teach, coach, mentor. I didn't say anywhere in there that you tell them that they're screwed up and they're doing it wrong. I said teach, coach, mentor. When you talk about building relationships, whether it's with clients or affiliates or somebody that you just maybe want to learn from, let's talk about mentorship in general. Somebody that you really gel with. Just be of service, be genuine, and just kind of be who you are. And I think that always puts you at the top, no matter what you're doing, whether it's selling snow cones or selling real estate. Doesn't matter. It's just a different type of a commodity.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love
man.
it.
So we're pretty much out of time here. I'd love to get you on again in the future. So definitely let's talk about that. But before we get off, do me a favor, Dave, and tell everybody how can they get a hold of you. I know I'm going to be getting a hold of you once I get off. First off, I'm going to be using this video. I'm going to be sending this to clients that we're working, and I'm going to make sure my entire team makes people that they're like, Phil, I told you about that appointment.
Yeah.
I'm going to send this video to that guy and make him watch it before I show up on Monday. Because this was a good one. But how can people find you and get a hold of you, whether they're real estate agents, investors, whatever it might be, or somebody that's exploring investing or wanting to figure out what to do with their home?
So I'd love to help, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show, to share philosophies, and certainly appreciate what you're doing for your community.
Cool, thanks, man.
So easiest way to reach me is dave@ahlend.com or 800-731-9226. So love to chat with you guys, and if I could answer any questions, walk through deals, whatever it is. Like you, I'm kind of a junkie at this stuff. So
it's an obsession for me. I you know, it's one of those things where I catch myself sometimes. My wife is already asleep. It's like 1 a.m, and I keep a book next to my nightstand, and I'm like, my head's spinning. I'm like, all right, I'll just stay up for like 20 minutes and write this out. And then it'll be about 4 a.m, and I typically wake up at 6, and I'm still writing out this idea. Then I'm writing out a full freaking, document on it. And it's just, I love real estate. If I won the lottery tomorrow and I made $500 million, I would wash all of it out. Like, I've thought about this. I've thought it through. I'd wash all of it out. I'd put it all into investments. I would still leverage. I'd go from 500 million to over $1 billion. I'd borrow another 500 million. I'd go well over $1 billion in investments. And then I would take every dollar that comes in from my investment, and I would reinvest, and I would still live off of what I make right now because I love doing it this much. I would still do this. I do this every day. In fact, I would probably just give all of money. If I'm making $500 to $1 million a year off of doing this, I'd just give it away. I just love real estate.
Well, can I be your lender?
Sure.
When you win the lottery?
Done. When I win the lottery, I'll call you up. You can be my full-time lender.
Done. Sign me up.
Right on. Okay, everybody, I'm going to log off. David, if you can hold on 2 seconds. Because we're live right now. Once I actually log off, then we'll talk for a couple seconds offline, and go from there. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Love doing the Real Estate Blitz. As you always know, I don't do this for money. I do it because I just enjoy doing it, and because I want to help other real estate agents and other investors, because I think if we don't start helping each other, if we don't take charge and control of our community, everything that we love, our business and our way of life, our lifestyle, our American dream is going to disappear. There are people out there that are disruptors, which good for them. That's part of business, right? They want to take away what we have. And the only way that we're actually going to be able to compete in the future or survive is if we actually become competitive and we actually do what we should be doing. Stop being a crappy agent. Stop being a crappy wholesaler. Stop being a crappy investor and actually go out there and help people. That's what the Real Estate Blitz is about. So thanks for watching. I hope you got some value out of this today. And do me a favor, go like, share, and comment, not just on this video, but every video that I have. I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on almost anything you think of. If you can't find something on the Real Estate Blitz that I haven't talked about, let me know. Hit me up. And I tell people all the time, you can call me. I have people all over the world. I got a phone call the other day from Australia. Okay, you can call me on my cell phone. You can send me a text. You can send me an email. I put all my stuff. It's on YouTube. You can get a hold of me anytime. I just got a phone call this morning from Rico. By the way, what's up, Rico? I know you're going to watch this. Hit me up. He's trying to get in and get his first deal. He cuts hair and he wants to get his first wholesale deal. I'm going to be helping him out. I'm walking him down the path. Hit me up. I'm here to help. That's all I got. Appreciate it. KSA Kris, Real Estate Blitz, and we'll talk to you all later. All right, have a good one. Bye.